When I first arrived to my unit as a brand new fuzzy, we had a guy who pretended to be Batman. Nothing wrong with cosplay or being really into Batman, but this was not the case. He was mentally unwell. We would find him in dimly lighted areas of the SSA with a partial Batman costume over his OCPs and stating that he was protecting us from the shadows. Seniors later said that during room inspections, they found a bunch of leather revolver holsters and Batman costumes. He had severe financial issues, blowing all his money on cam girls and his costumes. He would be seen walking through the barracks like this as well. He was caught Googling how to fail a psych exam on his way out, and ultimately was separated. Rumor is he got 100% for being crazy, and was last seen flipping signs for a car wash in the Dallas area. I got 2 stories. I was on my way out, and my unit recently deployed to the Stan, so I was on Rear D. We had recently gotten 2 new soldiers, which I'll name PVTA and PVTC. PVTA was a decent soldier until, against all our recommendations, married a chick he met at a bar after only knowing her for 2 months. They moved in on base housing within 4 months, but never thought it was a good idea to buy a washer and dryer. So he'd come in every day smelling putrid to a point we E5s made him take showers at the office before he went home to change. Also made him do his laundry in the barracks as well. Well, back at home, his wife was stealing and hoarding cats and dogs under the guise that she was sheltering them. This didn't come to light until the on-base housing inspection was inspecting a neighboring house and noticed PVTA's windows were covered in shit from the animals. Long story short, they found 2 dead dogs in the bathtub and chewed-up dead cat behind the front door with fresh blood everywhere. There was a total of 18 animals in the home. PVTA still had the gall to let us know he wanted to re-enlist. PVTC was a young kid who up and decided he was done with the Army within a month of being there, and showed that by being 100% insubordinate. C also stole about $1,000 cash from another PVT in the unit, used that cash to get a rental, broke the rental, never turned in the rental, went AWOL when we found out. We stopped his pay, then he'd come back until pay was reinstated, then go AWOL again. Intermittently, he pawned his gear from REF for cash when he wasn't getting paid. We finally had him on suicide watch at staff duty after about 3 times of the AWOL cycle. It was then he gave us some sob stories saying he was from the slums of PR with a large family yada yada. Welp, on his way out, his parents showed up. Turns out he was an only child and his folks were loaded. Ended up paying back the cash for that one soldier, and paid over $10,000 for all the missing items from his clothing record. Last I heard, PVTC's parents left him as soon as he was dropped off outside the gates after getting his DD-214. I'm borderline convinced a lot of the fuck-ups you see waving 100% filed but never got it. How the hell you gonna tell me Jones, who was never on time for anything and has the attention span of a weevil, got the VA to agree with him? My theory is a lot of these guys get out with a bit of UCMJ, a big splash of fuck yous while swearing up and down they are going to make $100,000 working for their uncle and have all the PNN tips how to con the VA. Few months, all claims denied, and they are working at Chipotle off post. Now Jones could be honest, but that would mean admitting the master plan is not exactly going great. So instead, they just mouth off in group chats and ask their mom for a ride to work. We had a new SPC 91B come in with an engineering degree from Richmond University. Smarter than XO, me, who went to a party and came out with a degree. What first tipped us off he was crazy was when he refused to sign his license because he wasn't properly trained. We told SPC Crazy that he went through driver's training. He wouldn't drive any of it as we had 288 megabytes in the company, and that we needed him to do it for work. Under whose authority? Then came months of questioning everything. People ask me how I know regs? Because of Specialist Crazy. Prints with highlights. Well, what really made us concerned, and when we really tried chaptering him in earnest, was when he asked a soldier what's a good gun to buy. What do you want to use it for, targets? Hunting? People. We then kept a careful eye on him. He complained about working hours, did a congressional against us. So every day at 1700 we had a siren go off in the bays. SPC Crazy, you are congressionally mandated to go home. Everyone else, continue working. I watched him work one day, and he just went around the bays tapping shit with a hammer. He then started complaining about a hum in his room, how someone was breaking in and moving his pens. As his insubordination mounted, we kept building a packet until we could kick him out. Problem was that he was banned from everywhere on post. He couldn't see the dentist because he was waiting there during his phase 1 or whatever, and they closed for lunch. He was sitting in the waiting area and a major came up. "We are closed for lunch." SPC crazy. "No, that's okay, I'm not hungry." He then refused to leave. He even got kicked out of behavioral health. Once the chapter paperwork did go through, he refused to believe he was being kicked out of the Army. Literally waited until midnight of his ETS, and we called the MPs for trespassing. We had people waiting by the gates with signs, wishing him all the best. But the MPs took him out some other way. I legitimately wore my vest the next few days and took the long way home because I was worried. We kept getting calls from him for the next 6 months of him worrying he was AWOL because he wasn't properly relieved. I took an inventory of his barracks room. He had a journal that I couldn't help but reading. He would talk to himself and the handwriting would change. It was reading a guy go insane. I was talking about it to BH, and they said out of nowhere, "Don't tell me, he had coloring books." Yup, and they slowly drifted from Soviet realism to Jackson Pollock. The therapist just brushed that away, the same as saying yesterday I went for a walk. The real kicker was about a year later I get a call from an unknown number. "Is this LTG Breezy?" "Yes." "This is SPC Crazy, where do I report?" "Crazy, you are no longer in the Army." I call my friend still with the unit. You never would guess who called me. "Crazy, yeah, he's back in the Army and assigned to the same company."